The sun was dipping behind the hills of a small California town when Jake, a 25-year-old mechanic, was closing up his auto shop for the day. His hands were covered in oil, his shirt smeared with grease, and his body ached from hours of lifting engines. But even after a long day, Jake never complained. He loved his work. Fixing things gave him purpose, especially since life hadn't given him much to start with. He was locking the garage door when he heard a faint honk from the roadside. Looking up, he saw a sleek black Bentley pulled over just outside the shop, one tire completely flat. The car looked wildly out of place on the dusty rural road. Out stepped a woman, tall, elegant, and clearly not used to being stranded. Her high heels sank slightly into the gravel, and her designer sunglasses reflected the fading sunlight. She looked frustrated and lost. Jake wiped his hands on a rag and walked over. "Need some help, ma'am?" he asked with a friendly smile. She turned sharply, her voice crisp and impatient. "I've been waiting for roadside assistance for over an hour. This whole place doesn't even have cell service," Jake nodded calmly. "Well, you're in luck. I can get you back on the road in 10 minutes. The woman hesitated, scanning him from head to toe, his dirty clothes, rough hands, and worn boots. She looked skeptical. "You work here?" Jake chuckled softly. "Born and raised. Let's see what we can do." Without waiting for approval, he grabbed his jack and lug wrench and got to work. The woman, whose name he later learned was Amelia Hart, watched silently, arms crossed. Her phone battery had died, leaving her with nothing to do but observe this young man who seemed completely absorbed in his work. Despite his humble appearance, Jake handled her luxury car with expert care. His movements were precise, quick, and confident. When he finished, he stood up and smiled. "All done. You're good to go." Amelia looked genuinely surprised. "That fast?" Jake nodded. "Told you. No charge." Her brows furrowed. "What do you mean, no charge?" Jake shrugged. "It's just a flat. You've had a rough day. Consider it a good deed." For a moment, Amelia didn't know what to say. People didn't usually help her without expecting something in return. She reached into her purse and tried to hand him a $100 bill. Jake shook his head politely. "I don't take money for kindness, Mom. Just pay it forward sometime." That line hit her harder than she expected. She nodded slowly, still processing his words. "Thank you, Jake," she said softly before driving off. At her office in downtown Los Angeles, Amelia couldn't stop thinking about the young mechanic. As the CEO of Hart Motors, one of the largest luxury car companies in the state, she was used to people treating her differently because of her wealth. But Jake hadn't cared who she was. He just helped. Later that week, she decided to visit his shop again, but this time, not as the stranded woman he had helped. When she arrived, Jake was under a car, humming to himself, his dog resting nearby. "Back for another flat?" he teased, sliding out from beneath the car. She laughed for the first time in days. "Not exactly. I wanted to thank you properly. You were kind to me when you didn't have to be." Jake shrugged modestly. "That's what people should do." She looked around the small, run-down shop, cracked windows, fading signs, and tools older than Jake himself. "You ever thought about expanding?" "You clearly have talent," Jake chuckled. "I don't have that kind of money, Mom. I barely keep the lights on." Amelia smiled mysteriously. "What if I could help with that?" Jake blinked. "Help me, why?" She reached into her bag and handed him a business card. "I run Hart Motors. I think someone like you deserves a chance to show the world what real skill looks like. How about you come work for me?" Jake froze, speechless. "You mean, like in your company?" Amelia nodded. "As a lead mechanic. Full benefits, good pay. And I'll make sure your shop stays open too. Call it my way of paying it forward." For a moment, Jake didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Ma'am, I don't know what to say." "Say yes," she said warmly. And he did. A year later, Jake's small-town garage had turned into a fully equipped workshop, courtesy of Amelia's investment. Together, they started a community initiative offering free repairs for struggling single parents and veterans. Word spread fast, and soon people from all over came not just for repairs, but for hope. One afternoon, while working side by side, Amelia asked, "Do you ever regret helping that stranger on the road?" Jake smiled, looking up from the car hood. "Best flat tire I ever fixed," she laughed, her eyes soft. Funny how fate works. And though neither said it out loud, both knew what began as a simple act of kindness had changed both of their lives forever.